Developing tonight, less than 24 hours after a mid-air bomb scare forces an emergency landing of an Air France jet, and just days before Christmas, new concerns here at home as millions of Americans travel this week. Now the TSA is telling Fox how this latest incident is impacting Homeland Security. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge with the latest from what's going on at the TSA. Good evening, Catherine.
A TSA official tells Fox that new security enhancements are in place to tighten security at airports overseas, specifically those airports with direct flights into the U.S. 6 passengers, including a former French police officer, are now being questioned after a fake bomb was found in the bathroom of this Air France flight, forcing an emergency landing in Kenya Sunday. The device was made of cardboard, paper, and a household timer and did not contain explosives. But the incident underscores the current high-risk environment. After the Russian passenger jet was brought down by an ISIS bomb in October, TSA issued new security directives that remain in place this week. And while classified, the enhanced security includes additional passenger and cargo screening, as well as vetting airport employees with access to the aircraft. Based on our reporting here at Fox, the bomb was planted by an airport insider. While the U.S. government cannot force any foreign airports or airlines to follow these new directives, a former Secretary of Homeland Security says the U.S. government does have the ability to block flights into American airports if the requirements are not met.
I remember at one point in time we prevented several flights from several different countries coming in, and initially there was a protest. This is a matter of sovereignty. You can't tell us we can't take off, and we paused and said, but that's true, but we can tell you can't land. So you can certainly control that.
On Christmas Day 2009, Al-Qaeda successfully smuggled an underwear bomb onto Northwest Flight 253 into Detroit. No one was killed because the detonator failed. Martha?
Thank you, Catherine. So also developing tonight, new reaction to a potentially damning new interview with President Obama's former defense secretary. In his first public comments since he resigned more than a year ago, former Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel speaking out now. He says that the White House had no strategy to defeat ISIS and that the administration tried to, quote, destroy him on his way out. Hagel joins his predecessors now, Robert Gates and Leon Panetta, who also went on the record to voice their concerns about some of the president's foreign policy decisions after they, too, left the Pentagon. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer is a CIA-trained intel operative and senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research, and he joins me now. Good to have you with us, Colonel Shaffer. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So what do you make when you listen to the comments that Chuck Hagel made? Do you think he's telling the truth?
Oh, absolutely. I've talked to multiple sources about this, to include some in the Pentagon, and fundamentally they say, yeah, he's telling the truth. There's been a fundamental problem with the White House denying facts on the ground. This is not new. And whenever you have facts on the ground which conflict with their political agenda, the political agenda always ends up winning. And that means people like Chuck Hagel, who, you know, God bless Chuck. I think he tried to do as good a job as possible, being as honest as he could, trying to tell the president what he needed to do. And I think by the fact that Chuck, as good as a man as he was, just was ignored to the point of where he became ineffective. When he became frustrated being ineffective, he spoke out, and they cachet him for that purpose.
Well, the White House take on it after he left was that he wasn't up to the job, that the job description had changed somewhat given the rise of ISIS, and that they felt that they needed to look for somebody else. And I think if that were an isolated situation, it might have more weight.
Right.
But then when you've got Leon Panetta and you look through all the comments that he made about the micromanagement that happened and the finger pointing back to the White House, and then you look also at Robert Gates' assessment as well in a very detailed book that he wrote shortly after he left, it seems to give Chuck Hagel's comments a bit more weight.
Absolutely. Now, let's be honest here. There's been multiple tactical failures based on the White House over managing, essentially micromanaging everything. The Matt Foley rescue attempt was sat on for, the information that we had regarding his location was sat on for over 30 days. So the actionable intelligence became unactionable by the fact that the White House wouldn't act. So this is not new. And this has been a continued pattern of the current White House with the current Pentagon. They continue to interfere at the tactical level. Martha, those things a tactical commander should be able to do, to to, for example, finding actionable intelligence and acting on it, they can't do because you have to get White House approval to do pretty much anything out there in the battlefield. It is not manageable, and what Chuck has said continues to this day, and that's something the Pentagon continues to face and try to deal with.
Well, you know, I think back to the testimony that Ash Carter gave just the other week, where he was asked in congressional testimony, is ISIS contained? And he said, no, it is not.
It's not.
And he also said that the commander-in-chief, that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs also agreed with that assessment. That was just days after the president had said that they were. So you got to wonder what's going on with the current relationship.
Well, General Joe Dunford said specifically the ISIS is not contained, and again, Ash Carter said the same thing. Martha, we have to have a Pentagon which fights wars to win based on the truth, not on a political desire of the White House, and that's where the conflict is. You have people like Ben Rhodes and Susan Rice who are completely committed to a political agenda, mostly focused on the president's legacy, rather than trying to deal with the facts as they present themselves by the Pentagon to actually try to achieve a victory over ISIS. It's totally insane.
Colonel Tony Shaffer, always good to speak with you. Thank you very much.